This is going to be the biggest, the most expensive, the heaviest, and the most complex build I've ever done. I've not even worked out how I'm going to transport this places, because I think it's like 70 kilos. And out of these two boxes, this little one is the heaviest. I managed to get this from a UK supplier. That's how much it cost just for the kit. This is the Cross RC XX10 T-Rex. 10-wheel drive, 10-wheel steer, 2-speed belt-driven gearbox, dual motor. It's an absolute monster, and I don't know where to start with this. Oh, hang on, there you go. I'll leave a link in the description to the original design video of this, which was about 5 years ago. I can't remember if it's for a game or like a cartoon, but it's a post-apocalyptic land tank thing. And the main body of it is like a locomotive. Anyway, where do we start? Boxes within boxes. So let's get each box out. We'll go over to the workbench over there and we'll have a look at what's in it. Right, I don't know what order these boxes are coming out. We're just gonna open them and see what's in them. When I first looked at these, they were out of stock in the UK, but I kept checking, and then as soon as they came in stock again, I was there. A couple of metal plates. Wow, let's line all these up. So most of these parts are all machined. Look at that. It's independent suspension, which I really like, rather than solid axles. It's got a crazy like central drive system, but yeah, all independent suspension. This has got to be to do with the belt drive, yeah. Look. Wow, it's the first time I've looked at this properly. I had a quick check in the box to make sure everything was there. This will all be for the shocks. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm looking forward to building this, and I'm not, because I know it's going to be really complex. This is the gearbox case that doesn't want to come out. It comes with two 775 brushed motors. I really want to go brushless with it though, so we'll see. So there's your gearbox. Not sure how it all works in there. Not sure if you have to take that apart or if it's pre-made for you. That has got some serious weight to it. Nice. Right, I'm not going to put that all the way in. Let's just put that like that. So that's the first box. Box number 2. Oh, all the parts for the body. Wow. There is a lot in here. A lot of painting. Not sure on colour yet. I either want to go white like that picture I just showed you on the like that work mat, like a urban camo, or I'm thinking like a weathered satin black, but do underneath like a metal and sort of rust, so that I can spray satin black over the top and then rub some of it back, so it kind of gives it that weathered, like a Mad Max look. Right, I'm not getting all of this out because it'd be a pain to put back in, but this should give you an idea of the size of it. That is the rotating platform for the guns on top. that is big. Probably gonna take me longer to paint all this than it is to build the thing. So now this is going to give you an indication of the size of it. This is one of the base plate. You've obviously got the chassis underneath it, but this is like the platform that everything goes onto, I think, and the chassis bolts to this. Wow, that is crazy. Oh man, couple of guard rails there, and here's another part of the chassis. Wow, this thing is going to be an absolute monster. So that was everything from that big long box. This is the heavy box now. Giant tyres. I didn't take these out when I looked at it. I wanted to, but I didn't. Save that first tyre sniff so we could share it all together. Man, they smell like good tyres. Look at the size of them. You got foams in there as well, and there's 10 of them. 10. There is a pretty bog standard 1.9 crawler wheel. Considering that's 1/10 scale, this is 1/12 scale. There you go. A little gift bag. Lanyard. Oh, I downloaded and printed off the instructions, but looks like you get it on a little dongle. That's pretty cool. I wonder what else is on there. Probably some spares or something that you need. Usual warnings about it not being a toy. Right, now this is the lightest box in that other box. The other one, I don't know how I'm going to get it out there. It's so heavy. I presume it's got a lot of the gear parts and axles. Glass, well, plastic. There's your main body there. So like I said, it's designed as like a locomotive. That's so cool. 1/12 scale, look how big it is. It's huge. And then this is the top for it. Man. More plastics, more bits of trim. There's your belts and some other bits and pieces. Maybe slippers, slipper clutch, maybe bits. A load of electronic boards. This comes with a 10 amp BEC as well. Load of leads. Didn't realise it came with like all of this and all the control boards for the lights. I think there's sound and stuff. And then this has got your motors in it. So like I said, 2 big 775 brushed motors. I'm not sure, I might go brushless. We'll have to have a think about it. I might as well go all in, hadn't I? I'm not sure I'm going to build anything like this again. And then in here, you got some drive motors or like geared motors, I guess, for your rotating turrets and stuff. Or even smaller motors there, and a speaker for your sound. Wow, this comes with everything. The only thing it doesn't come with is ESCs for your motors and radio gear. Oh my days, final box in this thing. Oh my, that's so heavy, so heavy. That is a load of like drive shafts and rods and linkages and a lot. Oh, tools, look, you get some hex drives, cross wrench or wheel wrench, some other bits and pieces, plier. Wow, it's a lot of money this, but you certainly get your money's worth, I think. Definitely. Drive shafts, more guardrails, the wheels, 10 of. They are some big wheels. Where's that little one gone? The wheel rim next to a 1.9. Loads more metal parts. Are they the hubs, the wheel hubs in here? All your bearings, more metal parts. No wonder this box was heavy. Some O-rings, obviously all for your shocks. All the hardware, drive shafts or CVDs, CVAs, whatever they are. Probably 10 of them, isn't there? Rings, some little maybe electrical connections. Oh my word. Oh, I might be gone sometime building this. I'm leaving that one there. It's too heavy to lift. Before I do make a start, these are the servos I've got. It says you need 2 5th scale servos. So, because we're going all in with this, I've got some 100 kilo AGFRC ones. These are the OEM manufacturer for the Perfect Pass ones, the Raz Schifrin ones. So they should be good. This is who makes his ones. So I got 2 of them for the I think they're both for the steering. So it's going to have 200 kilos of steering power. Hopefully that's enough. And then obviously with all the functions and stuff it's got, you need a decent transmitter. Now, the easiest ones to get are probably the stick ones because you've got so many functions on it, but I like to be able to drive and record, and it's really hard with stick radios to drive and record. So I'm hoping this new Radio Master will have all the functions I need. Rotary switches, you can sort this panel out, so you've got switches on there, got loads of functions on it, and I'll be able to drive and record as I do with all of my stuff. So yeah, this is meant to be a really good radio. But I got it purely for this build, so it's going to just be used for this truck. So sorted the instructions out, and the first thing we got to do is make 10 of these. It's going to take 100 hours to get all the bits out. So all the parts are labelled for this. I had no problem at all finding the stuff. I mean, sometimes it took a little bit of time just to get the right stuff out, but the instructions tell you everything you need. They're not over complex either. I mean, they're not really basic, so you struggle to see what you got to do, but they're probably just about right. Tell you everything you need, show you exactly what you need to do. There's little notes on there as well for stuff to take care of, you know, like what orientation stuff is. And this is 10 suspension arms. So that's the time consuming bit. There's just lots of bits. I did find it very therapeutic though, just sat there with some music on, just putting them all together, and I had absolutely no issues with them at all. Everything fit perfectly. 1 down, 9 to go. So no messing about here, we're going to get straight into putting it on the chassis so we can see how long this thing's going to be. Right, 5 there, and 5 there. No issues with finding parts yet, all the bags are well labelled. So that goes that way. That, put a couple in by hand first and then we can zap the next lot in. Make sure it's okay with that, and then I'm going to throw them all in. This is no different to building like a temp scale really. You get all your chassis bits done on one side, you then put, I don't know what they're called, the ribs, put them in, and then you just put the other side of the chassis that you've already put all the duplicate bits on. Now obviously all the hardware I'm putting on at this point, apart from going into the plastic ribs, all the hardware I'm putting on, I'm making sure I put thread lock on, so anything going into metal has got thread lock. You bolt that up and then, wow, this thing is starting to look like a monster already. Right, this should now give you an idea of how big this thing is. Yes, this thing's gonna be so cool. That is the main chassis done. I'm a few hours into this and I'm really enjoying it. Much more organised than I usually am, getting all the bits together, making sure I've got everything ready to go before I start building stuff. And this is the steering links. Now, again, there's 10 of these. The ones at the back have got some slightly different lengths on them because the rear wheels steer at different angles. The instructions are clear enough. So making sure I'm getting the right orientation and stuff, and wow, again, another easy bit that was nice and relaxing to do. We are making some good progress. Next job is the shocks. That's going to really transform how it looks, and I've got, well, 10 to make. Luckily though, all the parts, well, most of the parts are all in here. I'll just need to get all the O-rings, the grease, the oil, and we'll put one together, see how it goes together, and then, well, and I'll crack on and build the other 9, I guess. Anyway, that's me done for there. I'm going to go for a costume change. Didn't record myself putting these on. It's pretty basic, just 4 screws in each, but that is the progress so far. It's looking good. It's going to look even better when we got some shocks on there. Such a fun build so far, and time wise, I haven't really been keeping track of time. To this point, probably 3 hours maybe. Well, it is a very cold Sunday. All I want to do today is get these 10 shocks built, and then I can go home and have a coffee and put my feet up. Anyway, I've got my instructions. Not had any problems with the instructions so far. They got all the part numbers down there, and then all the main bits, it's got the part numbers on there. Basic, but I've not had any issues so far. All the bags come labelled. Right, so let's build one together, and then I will do the other 9. Well, I say build together. Obviously, I'm going to build it. That, that, and then O-rings, and then a cap, which is up there. I do like how it's all set out like this. It's like an exploded diagram of the shocks. Anyway, let's put that to the side, let's build this, and then I'm going to throw a bit of music on and smash out the next 9. Shows you there to grease the O-rings and stuff. I'm going to use a specific O-ring grease for that, which is messy and gets everywhere. Spring on there. Oh, these are tough springs. Grease it up. I think it's this one on that bit, that top bit. And then that goes in there. Yeah, so that slots in there. 2 of these bad boys. Again, grease them up. Slide over there. Like that. That goes over there. Nice. One on there. Like that. Now we need to put some shock oil. I didn't get shock oil with mine because it was air freighted to the supplier that I got it from. They don't ship them with any oils and greases. I did get some shock oil sent, but I'm going to use my own, I think. Doesn't tell you what weight. I'm going to go for 600 CST. It's a kind of medium, I'd say, medium to thick. I just realised this is quite a big cap. It's going to put, it's going to chuck oil everywhere probably. Yeah, not too bad actually. Not too bad. And then cap on. And you see it's got like a little bleed hole in the top there, so we'll wind it all the way on. Then we get one of these little screws, little tiny O-ring, bosh that on there. Now what we're going to do is slowly compress the shock, and that will push the air, oh my word, the air and the oil out. Wow, that is... Look, it just says to compress the shock and put the screw in. Right, I'm going to have to use my vise. This should make it a bit easier. I've topped the oil up again just so that we didn't let any air in. Let's slowly compress that. Throw this in. There. Sorted. I'm not going to be able to... There's going to be 10 of these things, although I suppose it does weigh about, what, 70 kilos. Right, there you go, there's that one. Let's do the other 9. All done. And feels all nice. All of them feel pretty much the same, so even if I built the shocks wrong, I built them all wrong. So at least they're matching now. They all feel good. So next, it looks like we're starting to put some of the drive together. Yes. Such a nice build so far. So it doesn't have open diffs, they're like locked spools, and it's got 5 of them. These are the drive units that I'm building at the moment. I've got one more to do, but it's got 5 of these spools, so no open diffs. I can't wait to get this thing in some like mud and dirt and just see how it gets on. It should have so much traction and so much grip with their massive tyres and 5 locked axles. It's gonna be insane. Nice big sealed bearings in here. Nice bit of marine grease. Not gone too crazy with it, but should keep it well lubricated and any moisture out as well. I'm really enjoying this build. The only thing that's spoiling it is it's so cold in my workshop. I've got my heating on, but it's still really cold. It's like below freezing outside. The main workshop's like 2 or 3 degrees C, and I managed to get it up to about 15 in here, but still, it's so cold. But I am still enjoying this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that's a pretty good weight just in them. If in doubt, give it a clout. So the next bit is building the gearbox. However, they've already done it for you. I mean, it looked like it had all the gears and stuff in, but I just wanted to double check. There you go. Nice, big, chunky gears. There's your gear selector there for first and second. Oh, saved me a bit of time. If you wonder why I don't always use power tools or electric screwdrivers or impact wrenches, I just prefer doing stuff by hand. I think sometimes you just get a better feel for it. You don't over tighten stuff. You're less likely to strip threads. So I do now and again, but most of the time I just like doing it by hand. And I know it takes a little bit longer, but I don't mind taking an extra few minutes sometimes, as long as I know they're all done up tight and I've not damaged anything. Oh man, it's all fallen off. Come on. Full drive line in, all the way. Oh, it's going on for ages, all the way there. So if I turn this one, there we go. So I've actually skipped a little bit here. So once you get the gearbox in and line the drive shafts and stuff up, it tells you after this bit to put the gear selector servo in. I've skipped that, we'll do that afterwards. What I wanted to do, it was get all the steering links done, get all the hubs and stuff done. Fiddliest and most frustrating bit was trying to get these drive shafts or these CVDs into the drive unit inside. I mean, that was the 10th one I did, so I'd kind of got a bit of a technique, but it was pretty hard to do. Got them all in, got all the links on, got all the linkage for the steering, and that then allowed me to get the wheels on. They are heavy. I'm going to weigh one of them, and then we can work out how much all the wheels and tyres weigh. So basic beadlock wheels, tyre just goes over that in a bit. Then you got 2 halves. They are rotational, so make sure I don't do 10 wheels that rotate all the same way. Line the holes up, slot that in there, and then they just bolt to this hub. And it is as simple as that. I'll loosely put them in, and then I will slowly zip them up, go in side to side so that it evenly pushes it all down. It's easy to get carried away with one of these things. You just have to be careful with it, don't go too crazy. You see, I've gone there to there to there to there, and then next I'll do there, there, there and there. That just brings it all down nice and evenly, and then that means the tyre should stay within the beadlock. And then just a quick check by hand, just to make sure they're all tight in there. They are really big and really heavy. Right, I'm going to weigh one and then we'll know how much all 10 are, because that has got some right weight to it. Wow. 781 grams. So just the wheels alone weigh almost 8 kilos. That's insane. But I've moved everything off the bench just so we can give it this full view. Oh. Right. Last one. Yes. Yes. What an absolute beast. Look at it. It's my oh, a rolling chassis. Oh my God. Oh, no wonder it needs two massive servos. So when I was doing the steering links, they have slightly, the rear ones had slightly different sizes, and that's because they don't all turn at the same angle. These have got the most angle, then them. And I think these front ones are just the same. I'll fit in the servos, which like I've said are 5th scale, and these ones are AGFRC, and they are 100 kilos each. So I got 2 of them to fit. That's going to sort the steering out. Then I've got 1 to fit for the 2-speed gearbox. Then we're going to fit the motors and the drive for that. Now the kit comes with these 775 brushed motors, sit staggered in there, but I wanted to go brushless, so I have ordered a couple of, I think they're 4268 brushless motors. They're 1650 kV. In the instructions for this, it shows you the specs of the brush motor they supply, and it also gives you that brushless motor option. Now it says below 1600 kV, 1650 should be okay, and it says max size of 4275, and I've got a 4268, so that should be perfect. And hopefully 2 of them is going to give this thing a crazy amount of torque. And talking of torque, let's stop talking and let's crack on. So before I put the servos into the truck, what I want to do is set up a 4-wheel steer system for them. So we're gonna have the conventional 4-wheel steer where the front goes that way and the rear goes that way. We're gonna have crab steering. We're gonna have just front on its own, or we can have rear on its own. And I'm gonna casually sit here and say, we just need to do that. But in reality, it's taken me 2 hours. 2 hours to get to this point. The first problem I had was when I was trying to get these to turn. Once I got the radio bound and stuff, they were turning fine. But when I flicked the steering, they do like a 360 degrees all the way around. And it took me quite some time to work out what the problem was. And the problem was I needed to put an external BEC on. So I guess what was happening, well, I've just got a random ESC. This isn't the setup, but I guess the power output from there was not enough for these big servos. So they were going into like a, I don't know, like a fail-safe or something, but they were spinning. So that was the first problem, and it's just, well, it comes with an external BEC. So got that set up, they were working fine. And then the biggest issue was this. It is a very high-tech and complex radio. And luckily I found on YouTube, which is I think the second biggest search engine in the world, I found a good video on how to set a trim switch up to be like a mode switch. And then that's where we came up to probably one of the biggest issues I had. I followed it all through, followed the video very carefully, and it wouldn't work. I think what happened when I initially switched this on, I was trying to get the second servo working. I messed with a few settings. I think I messed something up which stopped it from working. So I reset it, started from fresh, and we got it working. So as you can see at the top there, it says normal. So normal mode being the front wheels will turn one way, the rears will turn the opposite way. And if we flick this trim switch, it now says rear. So that should just be the rear servo. Flick it again, it now says crab. So now both wheels will go the same way. Oh, I didn't show you front, it starts at front, sorry. So yeah, starts at front, and then you just click the trim and it goes through the 4 different modes. How cool is that? And there is absolutely no way I'd have been able to do that without watching that video. Isn't YouTube a great place to learn? Right, let's get these on the truck. Right then, here we go. Switch it on. We should be in normal mode now. I've not set my endpoints up yet. Look how quick these servos are, wow. Yeah, I need to set my endpoints up, but that's normal steering, so you can see. And we flick that. Now we should just have rear steer, crab steering. Oh man, this was worth the 2 hours to get it to do this. And then front steering. Wow, there's a lot of play in that. You don't want that much play in your steering, because look, especially with servos like this. Panic over, it was my mistake. I forgot to tighten all these grub screws up properly, and the links needed a little tweak as well. So obviously, because there's so many pivot points and links on the steering, even though it was just a tiny bit on all of them, it's made a massive difference. There's a tiny bit, still a tiny bit of play in these links, not rattling around anymore. Anyway, time to talk about motors. Probably not going to build anything like this again, so we might as well go all in. So we're going to go for dual brushless motors, and I've got these rocket ones. These are by Surplus Hobby. They're 1650 kV, so 50 kV over what they recommend. 4268, so they're a little bit shorter than the max you can go, and the kV's a little bit over, but I can't imagine that's going to be an issue. And if I put it next to the included brushed ones, you can see it is almost exactly the same size. And then paired up to 130 amp ESC, this will run up to 6 cell. I've not looked properly, but I don't think it really tells you what sort of voltage to put through it. So we might not need to run 6, but it's always better to go higher than it is lower. 2 motors, 2 ESCs, we'll put them to one side, because before we fit them, we've got to, well, put it all together so we can mount them. It's quite handy actually, the ESCs come with these they're adapters, so you can fit a smaller motor to it, but depending on where I mount the ESCs, I might need to extend these cables. So I did notice on the brushed motors, look how long the cable is, so yeah, we might need to extend them. So first things first, I need to build this. I'm not sure what this bit is with the little, I don't know what they are, I don't know, but it's got like a slipper clutch arrangement in there. It might just be like some kind of fan, like a bit of a cooling fan, that might be it. Right, let's get this thing built. Oh, we're getting to the exciting bit now. That's all that put together. That's the there's a slipper clutch in there. The tension you have to put on that spring, that is crazy. Time to get the belt drive and the motors on. That on there. Obviously a bit of thread lock. Slider on. That motor's going to go in there. I'm going to leave the cables kind of at an angle if I can. Hang on, let's have a look. Surprised they didn't make all the holes the same. I think I'm going to open up these holes a bit because I want to be able to fit it like that. Right, quick blast with the Dremel and it's in. So now we need to get the, well, would you call it a pinion? The pulley, the pinion pulley. Let's get that on. Oh, I bet you have to put that belt on first. Oh, can you get the, I have to take that one off. There's not a massive amount of adjustment, but I guess you only need to tweak it a little bit. That's how you got to do it, innit? Push them both on at the same time. There we go. Can't adjust it now that that's in like that. What? So you have to get the motor adjustment done first and then slide the pulleys on. It's going to run so smooth. These are not censored motors. I was a bit dubious of doing dual censored motors because I know that, well, they're a bit more sensitive to their positioning, so I've gone for uncensored, so hoping that will work a bit better. Right, motor number 1. Let's get number 2 in, get the belt on, and then I'm going to plug it all in just to test it. I've not put the cover on yet, but how cool does that look? What a beast. I've not put the cover on because I wanted to check their belt tensions and make sure it was running okay. Let's unplug these fans. Right, that's better. I can hear properly now. Anyway, I don't think we need the fans just yet. Anyway, both motors on. I've not mounted it in properly. and I've not put the pinion on just yet. ESC's in, connected via a wire lead into channel 2, 1 to turn, 2 to burn, and then obviously because we've got an external BC, just remove the red wire from each. I've calibrated both as well, just the normal calibration there. And now, as you see, we've got a nice smooth belt drive. It's got a lot of RPM there. That's only 3 cell as well. So I don't know whether we're going to need 6 cell on this. I don't want to potentially destroy our belt, so I think I might run it 3S first and then we'll up it if we need to. A little bit of cogging on start up, which I'd expect from dual motors, just as I touch the throttle. So just a little bit, and then reverse. So cool. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just tidy everything up. I'm going to put the cover on, going to get it meshed up with a pinion on there, and then I'll try and protect everything. I'd really want to get it on the floor and just give it a go before I do anything else. Right then, I have spent a couple of hours just, I don't want to say bodging something together, but I've bodged something together, got the gear linkage all sorted out and set up on that servo. 20 kilo AGFRC one. I thought I've got 2 big AGFRC ones, so we'll just get a little one for the gear selector. Anyway, that's all set up. What I like about it as well, it's got springs either side. So a lot of the time when you've got like a 2-speed gearbox, when a servo arm goes over, it's kind of under a bit of strain, whereas because it's got the spring on it, it gives it a little bit of give, if you get what I mean. A little temporary cardboard bed for the batteries and the BC battery, and just cable tied the ESCs on. Obviously, it's going to be a lot neater than this when it's finished. But we are ready to give it its first test.
Welcome to Edge TX. Switch warning. Stop.
So the gear selector's that one. So steering. We're in neutral at the moment. And then I think that's low gear. Yeah, so that's low gear. And then high gear, which I'm not going to go crazy on the bench because I don't want it jumping off. I mean, these were bought as a bit of a scale accessory, but they're actually doing a pretty good job of keeping it off the ground. Oh, my tyre's off a bit there. Oh man, I've got to redo that. Right, let's get this thing on the ground and, well, christen these tyres. Are you ready? I reckon it should be able to push this door open, no problem. Here it comes. Da, 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 da. Oh man, it's so good to see it driving. I think I need to adjust some of the links on here, a bit of fine tuning. Oh man, yes. That's so cool. That's got a nice turning circle as well. I've just put it in second gear. This thing has got some crazy speed. Oh my word. I reckon that this should probably just be 2S. I reckon it'll pull me along if I stand. I don't want to damage anything. Probably there. And there. Here we go. Come on. Let's go. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. I mean, it's one way to get around the workshop, isn't it? Whoa. Can we do a drift? There we go. Whoa. Whoa. The motors are stone cold. Like, really, no heat there at all. That is good to know. Belts seem okay. Well, racing the weather today. It's forecast for a lot of rain, so let's give it a go. Now I've got a GoPro on the front. The GoPro's probably getting some really good footage. But I've put it there so I can check the belts as they're going round afterwards. I have trimmed it up a little bit. Oh, yeah, I need to do that end point for the rear, I think. Whoa, that is fast. That's full power. Whoa. Yeah, we need to sort that trim out, definitely. That wasn't full throttle, but oh, I've scrubbed my wheel already, scrubbed my tyre. Oh, the white walls. Not going to get over here, that chassis is going to scrape. Oof. Oh, imagine beaching a 10-wheel drive, eh? Can't bring it outside without giving it a quick try, can we? No problem whatsoever. No drag brake. Ah! That's something I need to maybe sort out, a drag brake. Yeah, we ain't getting up there. No. Right, I'm not doing that. I don't want to break the belts. I don't want to get a stone in that belt. Something like this is probably better for this thing so it can get some traction. Oh, so easy. How easy was that? Oh, when this thing is finished, it is going to look insane. Come on. Come on. Oh, what? More angle, I reckon. More angle, come on. You can do this. Ah, we pulled a link out. Oh, come on. That's the problem with having so much torque. Come on, you got this. You got it this time. Come on. Come on. Yes, we got it. Coming through. Once the body's on this, it's going to be so difficult to move about. So nice little shakedown. Belts all seemed okay. Now, I did notice, obviously popped a link off, didn't we? One of the steering links. I was trying to get a little bit of footage afterwards for like a little short, so I had the GoPro mounted a bit differently, and it pulled this off, pulled the thread out of there. I think what's happened is that one's fallen out, and obviously turning and then that wheel going up a curb, it ripped that one out. So I think what I need to do is go through all of them, go through every single one, put a little bit more Loctite on. I got some better stuff. I did use like the Tamiya one, which I think is a bit rubbish actually, the gel. So I've got some better stuff. Before I even consider starting to put the body and stuff on, I need to go through and get Loctite on all, not all of them, not all like the chassis and stuff, just all the bits that are moving and that are under a little bit of tension. Successful shakedown as well. Yeah, I found a few problems, but it runs, it drives, it didn't explode, and I didn't snap anything or break anything. We just got just a few little niggly things to look at. The majority of this part of the build is painting, which is not easy to do when the temperatures are in single figures. Big open space in my workshop, so it's quite hard to warm up. But I did find a short-term solution. Because it's quite difficult to get this whole place warm, I've made a makeshift paint booth. Obviously I could paint in here, quite warm in here, but I don't want to get like paint dust and stuff over everything. So I had this genius idea to get my gazebo. Got some lights in here. Ooh, and it is toasty warm. Radiator each side, paint table that I can get all the way around. So it just means that the paint's actually going to go on properly. There's nothing worse than trying to paint in cold weather. It just, quite often if you paint and it's too cold, it just won't stick. Or you have to wait ages for it to dry. So hopefully this is going to speed the process up a little bit. So while we're waiting for the primer to dry before I can put on the actual paint, got a few bits to fit to the chassis. Big old rear bumper to go on there. And it looks pretty easy. That just goes on there like that, and then the tubes slot through and clamp up at the end, I think. That is a solid rear bumper. And in between various layers of primer and paint, I was slowly putting together all the other parts. And it was going to quickly become apparent that painting all these parts first was going to cause me a bit of a headache later on in the build. So before I paint over this nice red and yellow paint scheme, let's just have a quick chat about what I'm doing. So this design is actually off the original render, which I showed you in the first video when this was created like 5 years ago. It was this red with this yellow stripe, and it comes from the original like Soviet train, I believe. There was red and yellow, or like a red and goldy yellow, and there was also a green and yellow as well. So that's why I've gone with that original colour. But I'm painting over it satin black because I'm hoping to go for that like weathered Mad Max look. So what I want is this to kind of show through the satin black. I'm going to rub some areas off as well, and I'm hoping it will look good. It was actually also a suggestion from someone in the comments. I mean, I'd already had a kind of similar idea, but there was one or maybe two comments that suggested this. Just doing the wheel covers. I painted them like a wheel steel, so painted them with that, and then I've given them a light dusting of satin black, and it kind of gives it that dirty metal look. And then I'm going to weather it a little bit, maybe add a little bit of rust to the wheel nuts. Hopefully it will come out decent. So I'm either going to completely ruin this, or it is going to turn out just how I imagined. I think it's actually going to look pretty good. I'm not going to put any more on that. Once that's dried and when it's in the light, you're definitely just going to get a little bit of that original colour through. So I'll probably go over at the end the bits and pieces about this kit that I wasn't a fan of, but this is probably my biggest problem with this kit and the reason it takes so long. You've got so many parts that need gluing on. Once you've painted it, you can't put glue on paint. I've been using this specific Tamiya cement. I've also got this one, and I have built kits and stuff before and glued paint on paint, and I know that it does cause a few issues and pulls the paint off. But on this thing, because of some of the size of some of the stuff you have to glue on, look at that, look, where I tried to put that on, it just slipped down and it just pulled all the paint off. Luckily, I'm weathering it, so it's not a problem, but I can imagine if you wanted to do like a really clean paint job on this, you basically have to put everything on unpainted, then mask it all up and paint it separately. I mean, maybe that is the way that you do it. But anyway, here's the thing. This big like bumper bar with all this metal on it, quite weighty, just glues on with friction. There's nothing locating it, there's no screws, it just glues on. That just glues on, nothing to locate it. That's got the tiniest little locator there, and then you have to stick the corners. They're probably going to pull up as well. But then you have these little like grab handles that are just a small bit of trim to add, and they slot into holes. So you dab a little bit of glue on and they slot in and they stay there. But then you got big stuff like this that just has to glue on. Like, it would have been so easy to put like some little dowels on that so it pushes in. It's mad. The same as these little bits here, which are going to fix the body on that base plate. They're just glued on. I can imagine that some of them are going to pull off as soon as you start screwing it on. Anyway, that's my biggest issue at the moment. I'm going to carry on and I'll see you at the end for some more gripes. So once I'd stopped sulking about being a model building newbie, I got to work on the electronics. Plenty of circuit boards and plenty of cables, like loads of cables. Luckily, I've got a few years experience in this field, so I didn't find it too difficult. And along with all the circuit boards and cables were a couple of hydraulic pumps. Pretty straightforward to make, and you'll find out very soon, a little less straightforward to actually make it all work. Page 119 of 134. I'm finally getting somewhere. It's been weeks. It's probably better to say hours, because I haven't been doing this solid every day for weeks. I've been doing bits and pieces here and there, but we're finally getting there. I can see the finish line, and this is one of the biggest things to do. I've started doing a little bit of weathering on this one, unweathered one. It actually looks quite nice unweathered, but with the cab and stuff, I think it'd tie in nicely. But these are the cannons. Just about to start linking up the hydraulic lines. Just got to attach them there into the pumps. But I need to sort the cabling out. Then I think there's a little bit more painting to do. And then the bit well, it's not that I'm not looking forward to doing it, I just think it's going to be a pain, is bleeding the hydraulic system and making sure it doesn't leak and make sure it works. I'm so happy this is the last bit now. I bought this back in January and we're at the end of May now, so it's just taken a lot longer than I thought to get it all finished. Look at how detailed they are. So much detail in there. They got these hydraulic rams here which will lift them. They got a motor in there which will pivot, although I think it does 360 degrees, but I'm just hoping that we can get the hydraulics working.
2,000 years later.
So I've been doing this now for, I've done about 3 hours yesterday, and I'm probably into hour number 2 today, just trying to get this system bled, just to get the hydraulic fluid in. So you've got the pipe that goes in to the first pump. You've obviously got one pump for that side, then you've got one for this side. So you've got this where you feed it in, and then just under there, that's the pipe that comes out. So pinching that as it's pushing the fluid through, then letting go of that, pinching that one when it's drawing the fluid in, so it only draws it in from like the reservoir or the tank. I'm using thin shock oil. And then it comes out of the pistons here, and then you've got like non-return valves there, so it doesn't let any air back in. It just will not work. I'm now using like a mountain bike brake bleeding kit, and I've adapted it so it fits, just to add a little bit of pressure to it, to sort of pressure feed it. I've also tried doing it like vacuum, like sucking it through the other way. I've put so much fluid in here. I've lost so much as well. There's oil everywhere. It's making me very grumpy. So I've now spent another half an hour doing it. So that's now holding itself up on the pressure of that hide oil or shock oil. It always goes down fine. It's going back up that it just doesn't move. So that's all the way down. The piston will go all the way around, and then it'll start pumping fluid in. Is it going to go up? Oh, that's it. That's as far as it goes. Oh man, I don't understand how to do it. It's not leaking anywhere either. There's no leak. Wow, there you go. Can't get it up. So pushing the hydraulics to one side for now. I just went about getting all the cabling routed through, and like I said, there's a lot of cable, and then putting the top plate on, which was actually a little bit more fiddly than I thought it would be. Finally, I can see some light at what feels like the world's longest tunnel. Now, if we just ignore the fact that I've not quite managed to get the rear guns or cannons or artillery, whatever you want to call them. I think they're artillery guns, aren't they? I've not managed to get the hydraulics in there and get it working properly. As you saw, I was getting a little bit annoyed with it. I have made a little change. Someone mentioned on one of the groups, I think, that supplied stuff wasn't all that good. So I bought this. And when I was doing it, I had a quick look underneath when the pump was working. And these pipes were expanding slightly. I think I might have a photo, actually, of one that's got fluid in it and one that's empty. So I'm not sure how much it was expanding, but it might have just been enough to not put any pressure in it to lift this up, because the pipes that are supplied are quite rigid. They're almost rock hard. So I've changed them over to the supplied ones. I've not taken all this apart yet, but it's got some of the softer ones that I put in there, but they're only small, so it might not make a difference. But I've decided to leave that till almost right at the end. I want to get this finished. So top part's on, wired it all in, and all the wiring goes, I've tried to do it neat and going down both sides, and then it comes under and then goes into the back of these. I got one ESC and the receiver in this side, and then in this side I've just got the other ESC, and I've just got a few little wires and the sound unit that I'm not sure I'm going to use yet, because I don't know how it's going to sound. So I'll maybe change that to an ESS dual or something. Started doing a little bit of weathering. I've got a bit more to do, but again, once I've finished it all and it's all together, then I'm going to go around my brushes, might get the airbrush out, get a bit of sandpaper and stuff and weather it up. But as well as the wiring, I've just got to put this on. It goes on the front there. Then we've got the battery boxes, which are like ammo crates, and the wheel covers, and that's it. So I'm going to get all the last little bits done, and then we'll look at it all functioning, and I'll tell you why I've changed from this Radio Master to this Fly Sky. Look at this thing. It looks so good. And it's massive. It is so big. I bought these little axle stands just as a bit of a scale accessory, but they've actually come in quite handy. I've got all 6 of them on, and it's pretty sturdy. Not sure I trust it too much, but it's good enough for giving it a quick test. So the BC is in there with the associated wiring. I need to neaten it up a bit, but that goes in that one. And then I've got a battery in each of these. Just about fits in there. A couple of 2S LiPos for this test. So first time switching this on, with it all complete like this. Hopefully it's going to work. So transmitter on. Talk about this in a minute, but I'm just going to make sure. Oh no, we've got no front steering. Right, so we've got throttle, which is good. We've got no front steering now. I have to have a look at that. It might be, cable might not be in properly there or on the BC. Guns, obviously the guns don't go up and down at the moment, but as you can see, they go all the way around, 360 degrees. Nice and smooth. And then the gun on the top, that's done by these. That one and that one. Again, 360 degrees. I don't know whether it's meant to have engine sounds. All we've got at the moment is a horn. I'm going to add a ESS sound kit to it because I think they just sound better anyway. It's only a small speaker on this, so that's something I have got to do. Then lights is this switch, like that, and then we get them ones. And then we, wow, they're bright. And then the last one should be, there we go. That looks so good. That is really bright as well. I've not put all the lights on. There's lights that go on here, and I've missed the rear lights. I will put the rear lights on. I'll probably just have them. This is empty, this one. This one's empty. I'll probably put them on a separate battery and just switch them on from there because I've put it all together now and I'd have to try and run cable all the way to the front. So I'm probably going to cheat and put the rear lights just on a switch. So I'm going to have to work out why we've not got steering. Right, I found the problem. Look at all that. That all goes in there just about. I found the issue. I just had the servo input the wrong way around on this, like, I don't know what you call that. Is it like a distribution board that comes from the BC? I've not sorted out any 4-wheel steer modes yet, but what I want to do is be able to independently move the rear ones. So rather than physically switching between like crab steer and front wheel and rear wheel, if I can make the rear independent. So I don't know, it might be better to have that independent, but I'll give it a try. So before I attempt to get it off that workbench, which I've been dreading because it now weighs, well, it's ridiculous. And it's not that 50 kilos or 100 and something pound is like too much to lift. It's just awkward. Anyway, the reason I've swapped to this, so this is a Fly Sky, is it called a Paladin EV something 18, I think. 18 channels. You've got various switches, controls, buttons. Even these control sticks you can turn and they've got little buttons on the top. Loads of functions on it. Used for like JCBs and trucks and all sorts. But I went all in to get that because as much as this would probably do most of the functions, if not more than that, loads of programmability and stuff, I was just struggling to actually get all the channels working how I wanted to. I mean, if you'd seen in part 2, I think it was part 2, I set up a switch to do the 4-wheel steer modes and that took me hours to do that. And then I set up some modes, I spent a lot of time doing it. Then when I switched it back on again a few days later, it had wiped most of them. So I don't know whether I just haven't saved it or I'd done something, but I just got frustrated with it. Very good transmitter, just I wanted something a little bit easier to use. And although this has still got massive amounts of functionality, the basics of it is relatively easy. You just select the channel you want and well, and it works. So I will do a little bit more work on it to try and get the 4-wheel steer working properly. But for the time being, it's functioning. Now, a bit I've been dreading is trying to get it off of this bench without damaging it, dropping it, hurting myself. It's going to be a pain. I've got a solution for getting it in and out of the car or on the back of the truck. I just need to be careful getting it off this workbench. It's too long to lift like that. You're just never going to be able to lift You're never going to be able to lift it at that stretch. Nope, that ain't going to work. Oh my word. Oh my word, that's so heavy. Oh, that is so awkward to lift. At least now it's on the floor, I can drive it out. Oh, first drive. Man, this thing's so big. I'm a bit worried about the high grip of the carpet. All these axles are locked, so. It's so cool to be driving it. Here it comes. Look at it. Yes. Beast. So I suppose we best go and give it a little shakedown. So it took me a while to find somewhere to actually bring it, but the first problem I can see is that front like cow guard or whatever it is, that is gonna have to go, I think, for anything off-road. Lights, we ain't got no lights. Hang on, lights, let's put my lights on, there we go. I've already buried it a couple of times, it is not great. Oh, look how low it sits, look. Just sits so low. Probably bent it already. Yeah, you're definitely not gonna be able to run that on anything more than this sort of surface. Look at it though, it looks so cool. Look how big it is. Switch to one-handed control. I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy, but we'll make it work. It's in low gear at the moment. Don't think I'll ever need high gear. And another thing, no drag brake, so that's definitely going to be an ESC upgrade at some point, I reckon. This is definitely the ultimate trail truck flex though, isn't it? Just out on the trail with my 50 kilo land train. Not the best weather today, it's a little bit rainy, but we'll make do. There you go, just dug up a load of mud. It is crabbing a little bit with that steering, but... Oh, I just turned my guns. Oh. I might try and lift that up now, actually, because, yeah, look, it's just ripping everything apart. Look what it just pulled out. Let's just get up here and then I'll see if I could do something with it. Oh. Because with it like that, you've definitely got no approach angle. Right, I've removed the whole thing, so hopefully we should be able to do at least a little bit of off-roading. Come on. Nice. Not sure I want to go through the mud just yet. Well, maybe a little bit. Oh, that's good. It's not that soft anyway. We're good. Such a beast. Definitely way better with that thing off the front. 100%. So it's a bit of a design flaw really, isn't it? It looks good, but it absolutely has no practical use apart from ripping up turf. Oh, what just happened? Did it slip out of gear? Oh, what? Something has broken, which means I got to drag this thing back, I think. It just went click and then rolled. Listen. Oh, no way. The walk of shame. Do need to keep steering it though. I will see you back at the workshop and we'll see what we've broken. So, unfortunately, no load on it. Kind of goes. Let's hold the wheels and I don't know if you can focus down there. So motors are spinning. there's something in the gearbox that is broken. Hopefully it's just a pin or something, otherwise this is going to be an absolute pain. And speaking of absolute pains, getting that off once it's all fixed on there is also an absolute pain. This is definitely not easy to do maintenance on. And that was its first run, so not looking great at the moment. Oh, I'm getting flashbacks from about 2 or 3 months ago when I only had a rolling chassis. Right, let's find out together what the problem is. I was hoping it was just going to be a drive shaft or something, but no such luck. Oh, at least I got one run out of it and I can finish this video. Alright, here we go. Something there maybe. Aha! We've snapped a little pin. Is it like a dowel? Where's that come from? So it's not this, I don't think. It's come from this one. What's broken then? Oh man, I'll have to look in the instructions. So that gearbox issue is all now fixed. Luckily I had some spares, so actually it was a relatively easy fix, even though it was very time consuming. I think one of the reasons that it broke was because it's not got a drag brake. I was kind of bouncing the throttle a little bit to keep it on that incline to change the camera shot. And because of the amount of torque and stuff it's got, that bouncing on the throttle was enough just to shear it. Either that or it is a weak point, and I guess we'll find out. I have bought 2 new ESCs though. I bought some Quick Run BL8 BL150 or something because they've got a drag brake. So I think if I could incorporate a drag brake, I wouldn't need to hold that throttle to try and stop it rolling. It might have stopped that. It's never going to be 100% complete, I don't think, but I've now fitted the rear lights in there, got them all routed through, and then I just got all this mess to sort out and all the mess in there. I'm leaving the big thing off the front, but I'm gonna put black and yellow stripes on this because I think that'll probably look quite good. And then I'm gonna try and sort out the hydraulics, and we're gonna get some decent sound in there as well, hopefully. I think I said earlier on that I was gonna go over some of the stuff I didn't like about this in this video. I've mentioned a bit of it as we've gone along, which is obviously the gluing issue, which is not just an issue with this. It was also me getting a little ahead of myself painting when some of it I probably didn't need to. I think one of the other things, which is probably quite obvious, is once you've built it, if you have any issues, as you can see, you have to take the whole thing apart, and it's a bit of a pain. The way this is connected onto there with just these little tabs, I don't like that. I think they could have made a better job of that. The big bowl bar thing at the front as well, poor design, it sits way too low. All this is just glued on, which I'm sure at some point it's going to all fall off, so I'm going to have to take a pot of glue with me when I'm out on the trail. And because I haven't got the hydraulics fully working yet, I don't know how well it's going to do. And probably the final thing, look at the mess on here. Lots of stuff left over, but there's also a few bits of hardware that I didn't have enough of. And on some of the instructions, stuff was labelled wrong. So if you are considering buying one, just be prepared to get a little bit frustrated with things not being labelled right, or not having some of the hardware you need. It wasn't loads, but there was just a few bits that I had to kind of improvise or use other stuff. There's been a little incident with the Cross RC. An incident that has involved me running to grab my fire extinguisher and putting some flames out.
Remove safety clip.
Don't look at my feet!
Fire. Fire.
And if you add smell-o-vision now, it absolutely stinks of electrical burning. I was just changing the ESCs to these Hobbywing ones, and I thought, oh, actually, to save on some wiring, it's a good idea to hardwire the ESS1 speaker in there. So it's mounted neatly in there. I ran all the wires through, hardwired it in, plugged it in, heard some crackling, which I thought was just a bit of interference on the speaker because I hadn't switched the BEC or anything on. Then I heard that very distinctive and then smoke, more crackling, followed by flames. Keeping my fingers crossed that when I take this off, it's not destroyed all the wiring in there, because all the lights are in there, the gun control, everything is under here. So getting this ready for the East event, if I've destroyed it like a week before, I am not going to be happy. As you know, it's taken me so long to get to this point. This could be disaster. Praying that it's not done too much damage. I don't really care about the sound box. I've got a spare one. This couldn't have happened at a worse time. A week before I've got to take it to an event that I wanted to showcase it. Right. Usually at this point I'd be like, drum roll. Not today. I don't want a drum roll. I want it to be not destroyed. Whoa. Oh my word. Oh, actually. Oh, we might be safe. Right, that's the light control for the rear lights. Oh man, look. No. I think, apart from it being, well, a mess up there, it looks like we're safe. It looks like that's just smoke damage. Melted the power into there, but we've got enough cable there. I might be able to save it. Right, I'm going to remove all this mess. I'm not going to bother trying to clean all that there, but let's see what I can do. So I repaired all the cables, checked that the lights work, plugged it all back in again. And of course, I didn't have the cameras rolling. And well, yeah, this is not going very well, is it? I've just plugged it all back in again. And then the ESC went up in smoke. What is going on? I don't know why I'm laughing. I literally just had to rip it out there and throw it on the floor. And just probably see all the smoke in it. Jeez. Right, this is annoying me now. Now this is really annoying me. Why did the ESC pop? I saw like a little spark in there or something, and then it just went up. It's so hot, I'm taking that out here. I don't want it to explode on me. That is red hot. It's as if it was shorted out. Oh. I think I should just throw this thing in the bin. 2 fires. Luckily, I sort of, yeah, it looks like it sort of popped there. I have no idea what's happened. I switched it on just a minute ago to check the lights. So I just switched the camera off, tidied this area a bit, and I was just about to switch it back on to say, good news, the lights work. And I switched it on and heard a pop, and the sound kit went. Maybe the wires on that shorted out and it just done some damage to that ESC. The lights, well, the lights do work. I'm going to order another ESC. I've got a week, so the next scene you see is either this at the East event or me at the East event without this. Right, sled pull, Cross RC T-Rex. It set on fire or it breaks something, I reckon. I'm going to go slow. Ready? We'll go slow first. What's next? What sled pull? I'll bring it back for you.
So good, he's one-handed controllers now. Got it started again, well done.
And back to the start line for you. There we go. Thank you very much. Big in it. Big truck. Big truck. That's in low gear.
And that's in low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Oh, that's quick. That's going to break something.
This thing is nuts. I'm going to save the mud for maybe later on. I'll give it a run first. I don't want to break it too soon. The top lights aren't working. Right, let's get this thing muddy. First gate. Right, here's some more mud. How deep do you reckon that is? We are going to find out. Yeah. Oh, this is getting hard to steer for me. Certainly not easy driving one-handed. But it looks so good with mud on it though. It's chasing you. Uh-oh, it's not going to stop. That's that pin gone. Yeah. No, I've got a strap in my pocket. So why did it catch fire twice? Well, after a little head scratching, I realised that when I replaced both the ESCs, this at the moment is not one of the replacement ones. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I replaced both the ESCs and I replaced them with these 8BL150s. You can actually program these. I didn't have the right program card. So I bought some Hobby Wing ones thinking better quality. I've got a program card for them. But I made one fatal mistake. So you might just be able to see there. So that is the power line that goes to the receiver from the ESC. I disconnected that on this one because I'm using a BEC. Don't need power. Well, it turns out you don't need power from both ESCs. I still had one going. That did cause some issues that I'll talk about in a minute, but when I set these up, I disconnected one. When I swapped over to these, I forgot to disconnect the power. So when I switched it on, I had power from one side, power from the other, and power from the BEC, and I think it just was a little bit too much for it. Doesn't really explain why the sound kit went up, because I didn't have the BEC switched on. I'm pretty sure I only had one ESC switched on as well, so I don't know whether that was just something wrong with the sound kit, but I'm pretty sure that is why both of the quick run ESCs were destroyed, because when that did smoke, this is a replacement, but when the original one did go up in smoke, I did have it all connected. Pretty sure whatever it was that happened was 100% my fault. Unless there was an issue with the sound kit, I'll take the blame for both fires. And we were probably only seconds or minutes away from another fire at East, because on the first run, when I took the BEC LiPo out, it was properly puffed up as if it was just about to go up in flames. And after a bit of head scratching and speaking to some other guys there, we decided that I probably should disconnect the power from this ESC as well. I think it was this LiPo or that side, one of them was basically charging the BEC. It was backfilling the BEC. So I disconnected the power line from this ESC as well, and then on the next run, no issues, and longer run time as well. And yes, before you say it, and others have already said it, I was an aircraft electrician for 24 years. Piling through that mud was just so cool. If only it had lasted a little bit longer. So what's next for it? Well, I've spoken to Green's Models, that was the UK supplier, and they've got me a spare main shaft for the gearbox. I think they got me some extra gears as well. The gearbox is buried right down in there. All that's holding the gear onto the main shaft that goes out to the drive shafts front and rear is a tiny little M4 pin. And what's happening is when you're going slightly up an incline, if you kind of stop and then go again, or if it rolls back very slightly and you go again, it's got all that twisting torque and it's basically just shearing off that pin. It's not a great design having all that torque relying on that little pin, but the material of that pin is probably not great either. So my plan is to get these spares. I'm going to modify it. I'm either going to drill through and put a thicker steel pin in, or I'm going to send it off and get it maybe TIG welded, because there's some spaces between that gear and the next one. There's enough room. There's probably enough room to just weld it a little bit. But for now, I'm going to take this top plate off going to clean all the chassis up. I'm going to leave some of the mud on the top, but going to clean the tyres, clean the chassis, get the gearbox out, and then look at my options for making it stronger. Then I'm going to swap out the electronics, motors and ESCs for the new Hobbywing Axe V3 system. But what I want to do is take the ESCs from under here and put them under the cab in front of where the motors sit. But to do that, I'm going to have to modify the cab so you can take it off from the top. The problem is, when I had the fire, you can't get in there. You have to, it's really awkward to get the cab off. So I'm going to modify it so it just fits on probably on the outside. And that means I can put the electronics inside there, and it means the V3 stuff, because it's got sensor cables and things, it'll be a little bit neater in there. So this is probably the last video you're going to see of this for a while. Definitely been a journey for me. I've enjoyed it. I've not enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it again. And now, well, now it's done. I mean, it is a disappointment, but I'm looking forward to making it better. And I'm also planning maybe a few other changes, so the next time you see it, it might not quite look like this.
Everyone laughing at me now when I go back there.
Right, come on then, you. Come on. Throwing my dog back.
Oh, no.
Give your private for it!
Tell her it's yours.
You can break it again.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh.
Go.